Hi, I'm Chef Gail Sokol, and I teach people how to bake. I'm also the author of About Professional Baking. And today, I'd like to show you how to create meringue mushrooms, a beautiful crispy cookie that looks like the real thing. Let's get started. The first thing you want to do is preheat your oven to 225 degrees Fahrenheit. And then take 4 room temperature egg whites and pour them into your electric mixing bowl. Put on your whip attachment, lock it, and put it on medium-low speed until your egg whites become foamy. Now that our egg whites are foamy, we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. This is an acid that'll stabilize the meringue. After that is incorporated, we're going to add 1 cup of sugar very slowly, about a tablespoon at a time. And I'm adding it very slowly. Turn your machine up to a medium-high. Things are gonna get noisy. And every 30 seconds or so, add a tablespoon of sugar, nice and slow. After all our sugar has been incorporated, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. Once that incorporates in, you're going to put the machine on high speed for 7 or 8 minutes and let it really get like marshmallow fluff. All right, it's been 7 or 8 minutes, and you got to see what our meringue looks like. It is fluffy and stiff peaks. Look at that. Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh boy, perfect. Now that our meringue is ready, we have a large sheet pan, any size will do, and we want to make sure that our sugar is dissolved in our meringue, because that'll make the fluffiest meringue that's the most stable. So take some meringue between your fingers, between your forefinger and thumb, and just sort of feel it. And it feels smooth. That means all the sugar's dissolved. It's perfect. Now I'm going to take a little bit of the meringue and I'm going to put it on each of the 4 corners of my sheet pan. And that's going to act like glue to keep my parchment paper down so it doesn't stick. In order to pipe our meringue mushrooms, I'm using a piping bag. You can also use a freezer bag and just cut a hole at the bottom. So I have a plain round tip. Again, you don't need a plain round tip, but if you want to use it, just cut big enough hole so that the plain round tip will fit into the pastry bag or the piping bag, and put it in round side down, and it fits beautifully in there. Cuff it like you would a pant leg. Bring your meringue over and fill it about halfway. This is the fun part. Look how fluffy that is. And stuff it in there all the way down. And you want to make sure you fill it only halfway. If you don't fill it halfway and you go a little bit more, you're going to end up with an overflow and it will come out the top. And that is no fun for anybody. And you push it down really tightly, and then when you're about halfway, flip the plastic up and squeeze only from the top down. In order to form your caps and stems, take your pastry bag and go perpendicular to your sheet pan and squeeze from the top down till you get a big enough round that you'd like, and then round it off. Do it again. Squeeze and then round it off. In order to get the stem, put your pastry bag perpendicular again and then sort of pump it out until you get a stem that you like, and then pull and release. Let's do it again, and then pull to release. The caps and stems are all piped. Now, one last touch before we put them in the oven, and that we have to dirty them up a little so they look real. So I have a little unsweetened cocoa powder in a sieve, and I'm just gonna lightly dust them because mushrooms are pretty dirty when you get them in the ground. And we don't want clean mushrooms because we really want to do a fake out and get people to think that these are real mushrooms. I love doing that. It's so cool. So you just sort of blast them lightly with some cocoa powder All right, now that our mushrooms are properly dirtied like a real mushroom, we're going to put them in the oven at 225 degrees for 2 hours, just until they dry out. They should have no color. After 2 hours, I shut my oven off. I open the oven and prop it open just for an hour, just so it continues to crisp them up. Our stems and caps are out of the oven and they've cooled and they're gorgeous. Now I'm going to take a nice cap, and you can see, you can actually feel it, sort of crispy. And I'm going to take a small paring knife and I'm going to drill a little hole, not all the way to the other side, but I'm going to get a little bit of a hole in there. And I'm going to take, I have an offset spatula, but you can just use a little butter knife. I have some melted bittersweet chocolates. We have to make them look real, right? And mushrooms have gills. So we're making some chocolate gills. Yum, right? And now we're going to take one of our stems and you shove it right through the cap and you have a little mushroom. Isn't that gorgeous? And we'll put it down, let it dry. The way I like to serve my mushrooms is in a real mushroom basket. And I just pile them in there. Pile them high. And when you present them to people, they don't know what they're getting. They don't know if they're real, they don't know if they're a cookie. And I don't tell them so fast. I think it's a lot of fun to fake them out. So I'm going to try one right now. And the key to eating a great mushroom, to make sure that it tastes perfect, is eating the stem first. Very crispy. Yum. So good. Here are some tips for success. Number one, when you use your electric mixing bowl, make sure it's clean and dry. That will ensure your egg whites will beat up to their fullest meringue power. And second, make sure that your egg whites are at room temperature. Again, it's very important, or they will not beat up to their fullest volume. For this recipe, meringue mushrooms, visit my Facebook page, Chef Gail Sokol. Until next time.